there's been a sevenfold increase in jihadist terrorists since the U.S. went into Iraq. But you know, in terms of changing the language, because...
All right, James, you came out to ask Gifford some questions, and she answered some tough questions from the other people. What did you think tonight?
I asked her two questions, basically. One dealing with the Iraq War supplemental that she supported, and as a more broader point, why Democrats seem to lack the political will to secure a real opposition to this war in the Congress in real time. I also asked about the lack of funding and political will in rebuilding the Gulf Coast region after Hurricane Katrina. Gabriel Giffords is an able politician. I completely respect her ability to present interesting issues to her constituents and deliver her side of it. The downside is we elected Democrats around the country through lots of man hours, through lots of time, energy, and lots of money in order to secure a change in a few basic fundamental issues. The most pressing one being the Iraq War. Democrats who went ahead and funded with several $billion worth of our money a war that they know and we know does not serve the interests of the American public, the American government, or the American soldier. To me, utterly and completely absurd. She was one of the Democrats who said, hey, I'm going to help support this. And she tried to couch it tonight in a discussion about the troops. I want to, even if I disagree with the war, I want to support the warrior, so she said. Well, supporting the warrior means getting him out of danger. It's not mean in any sense giving more money so he can stay there while his leaders screw him over. Bottom line, I think Gabriel Giffords deserves to hear these kind of views, and I'm glad that she came out tonight. I have a lot of respect for her to listening to it. But the bottom line is, I wanted to throw some sand because she was sliding all over the place. Really, Gabby, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, but it was Dancing with the Stars. And the biggest point had to have been her lack of any sort of useful plan in dealing with research funding for out of the NIH. I mean, bottom line, we have people asking questions about why there's so little money out there and always, shrinking money for researchers to deal with issues like cardiovascular disease and the like. And all she knew how to do was parrot the question back to us. She didn't give us a Democratic plan to increase funding. It's all well and good to get more people going to college by increasing more money for student loans. But once you get out of college, like I am, and you need to go to graduate school, there needs to be money from you to do the research that makes you a worthwhile contributor to society. That money is not there. So yeah, you have a lot of people with Bachelor of Arts degrees that can do absolutely nothing with their work. Great job, Congress. No. Bottom line, what we really need in District 8 in Arizona is a progressive who's willing to challenge Gabriel Giffords in a congressional race on all of these issues we care about. Anyone who's willing to support this war by spending our money to do it does not deserve to be in office. My name is James Edward Lamb Jr. I'm supporting Barack Obama in the race. Have a good night.
Do you think everyone got their questions answered? Or do you think he's like you said, slipping around? You think these people are happy? The majority of us? You think we're happy after that?
I think people were dazed and confused. I mean, I think people were sort of awed by this ability. They didn't want to come out and become too angry with her, but at the same time they wanted some of their issues and some of their thoughts dealt with. I think she did everything she could to not answer the questions.
You campaigned for her?
I did.
You went on the street and tell us about that.
I was out there. I was new to town, and I was honestly just looking for something to do. So I just said, hey, I saw one of her advertisements went out to her office on Broadway and said, I'm going to help out. Give me something to do. So I answered phones. I filled envelopes. I spent time going door to door several times in triple degree heat. I'm from Virginia. It's hot here, and I was out there knocking on doors about Gabriel Giffords. But I learned early on what kind of person she was. And the one debate that I was able to attend, I watched her answer a question about the lack of change in the Gulf Coast region. And she said she wasn't interested in providing any sort of funding to get people back into their homes. She didn't want to rebuild the area. It's too low. It's too low below sea level. Why spend the money? Well, Holland, Amsterdam, places around the world have been able to defend their borders and their coastlines without huge events like what we saw in Hurricane Katrina, destroying millions of dollars and billions of dollars in property and completely displacing a huge sector of their population. Why can't we do it here? Why is there no democratic will to people like Gabriel Giffords don't care about black people.
Do you feel let down because you volunteered for it? Do you feel let down that she's not supporting
Honestly,
your issues?
it's not that I feel let down. I feel like what District 8 really needs is a person who's willing to challenge the centrist Democrats on their centrism. Gabriel Giffords herself is not the problem. I think she's a very able congressperson. I think she's done a lot of good. She supported the hate crime legislation that got sexual orientation put into our federal hate crimes laws. That's a very positive thing. So I'm not going to completely say she has no worthwhile nature. My only point is that, bottom line, she needs to be challenged with her political future on the line in order to get her to change her point on any of this stuff. Look, we watch the same thing with someone who, in a large respect, probably stands as a role model for Gabriel Giffords. Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton waited until Barack Obama said no to the supplemental bill before she said no to the supplemental bill. Why? Because she waited until it became politically expedient to do so. She knew her largest rival in the race was going to say no to this thing, so then she followed suit in order to paint herself as an opposition voice to this war. Of course, we know better, but she was just as big as Joe Lieberman supporting the war. But bottom line, one of the reasons she's doing so well in national polls right now is because she's presented herself as both strong on national security and against the war in Iraq under today's terms set by Fox News. How she's able to do it? Well, you saw a lot of it tonight with Gabriel Giffords. Slipping and sliding. And honestly, I think Trick Daddy wants to sign her.
Are you gonna be more cautious next time you volunteer for a local campaign, or are you gonna be more cautious of getting involved with someone and making sure they're gonna stand up for what you believe in?
Honestly, Gabriel Giffords has completely destroyed my belief in grassroots activism. I know better now, and it would take an act of God to get me out there supporting another candidate with that kind of strength, who believed in those kind of issues and was so willing to change her mind. Honestly, and for an atheist, that's saying something.
So does that mean you're not going to knock on doors for Obama?
Honestly, no. It means that the kind of advocacy I want to do with Obama will just be from my computer desk. I want to write blogs about him. I want to try to raise money for him and answer phones that way. But at the same time, I also don't consider Barack Obama in any sense like Gabriel Giffords. Honestly, they come from totally different political styles. So
yeah, well, I wasn't trying to compare them. I'm just, you're wary now, to put time and energy into something like this, because what's it going to gain you?
Well, I was always wary. I mean, to be really honest about it, you already know going in, we're dealing with a centrist Democrat, quasi-moderate Republican. That's not really the point, though. I mean, I don't respect grassroots activism, certainly, but I don't want to tell anyone else that my issues with it should be the issue with it. And bottom line, people like Gabriel Giffords are throughout the Democratic caucus. Rahm Emanuel and Chuck Schumer hired centrists and called them Democrats. In my home state of Virginia, we hired Jim Webb to run against George Allen to take the Democratic seat. Jim Webb wrote against affirmative action for decades. I mean, this is not what we would call a liberal Democrat, and that's fine. All Democrats don't have to be liberal, but on some basic issues like getting us out of a complete unjust, underfunded, unnecessary war, yeah, it's time to say, you know what, we're going to do this to get us out. That means cutting the money, that means doing whatever is necessary. Setting benchmarks in the light. You hold the executive to the fire. You make sure George W. Bush knows how to stop. And if you're not doing that, then frankly, what good are you?